G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome to my day one vlog from the 1 month hardcore flashback race. I started playing at the start yesterday, just managed to get on just in time, and had a great time playing about 16 hours or something in the first day. Really good fun league so far. I was kind of wishing that with the flashback, aka Ruckus League, that they made the first day absolute insanity by having everything active at the first time, just to make that leveling experience utterly absurd. But I can kind of see why they didn't do that. I think for many players, and I would say for most players, like for 90% of players, that would have probably just been very frustrating and, you know, enough to sort of just give up on the race in general. But instead what they did give us was Rogue Exiles, so Anarchy, Bloodlines, Magic Monsters, and also Rampage as well. Which these three mods work together pretty well. Obviously you have to be careful of certain Bloodlines mods, so that can make leveling pretty dangerous. The Exiles especially have claimed a lot of lives, and a lot of early deaths have been a result of those, because the way that Anarchy works is that you get one Rogue Exile guaranteed in every zone. So when you're doing things like running Ledge, you're going to get an Exile every time, and you're going to run into a good variety of the Exiles. So you're going to get the easy ones, and you're also going to get hard ones. You're going to get, you know, Igna Phoenixes, and you're going to get all of those nasty ones that can be very one-shotty and very scary. So, you know, when you're running through normal difficulty, Xandro Blooddrinker is not usually too hard, but when you're running through Cruel and you're getting Xandro Blooddrinker every couple zones, it's very scary, and I've had a ton of close calls already on this character. But I had a great time running through. I've been playing an Incinerate Templar, just Incinerate, pretty basic, stacking different types of damage. You know, I'll be using Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, Added Chaos. So stacking a few different types of damage. There's a few different ways you can build Incinerate. First time ever playing Incinerate. I kind of wish I tried it out earlier, because this skill is insanely good on live at the moment. It is so good. I haven't seen what it's like on the beta yet. There's been some bugs on the beta, so it's been difficult to test it. But I had a great time leveling Incinerate with this character. So I'm using Incinerate, Eldritch Battery, Arctic Armor, that sort of combo, stacking a lot of life, and it's gone really well. I leveled up until Cruel Act 3, so, you know, just before the piety kill with Xeno. Xeno was running an Ice Spear character using Temp Chains on Hit from the Temp Chain on Hit's unique gloves, which I forget the name of, but with that sort of CC, so like freezing and chilling things constantly, it made just incinerating and bursting down enemies myself, so I was dealing the damage while Xeno was like locking them down, and that combo worked really well. But after Xeno went to bed, I progressed from Act 3 Cruel all the way into Act 3 Merciless by myself, and although it was a little bit more sketchy without him able to lock things down, we did manage to progress through very nicely, and it's worked really quite well. I was able to, thanks to just the raw power of Incinerate, which has decent AoE, but really good single target, and just really good damage in general. I was able to, you know, forego any damage auras and still be able to do a lot of damage. And this was great because gear has been pretty rubbish the first day for me. And I had to run Purity of Fire and Purity of Elements for the past, you know, at least the past difficulty, to be able to get my character just to stay alive, essentially. Because resist is super important leveling in this league at the moment. When you're running into, like, Flame Blast Exiles and Igna Phoenix, you know, every other zone, you need to make sure that your resistances are capped. You know, going in with 40 lightning resistant Ledge might usually be okay, but when you never know when you're going to get that ball lightning exile, you know, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you have those resistances capped. So it's been some touch and go moments, but the ability to run the purity auras at the same time to be able to bolster up my defenses was really nice and still have a very effective character. I'll jump into docs now and show you sort of what I've been doing. I've been farming docs a bit. My goal for day one of this race was to make sure I get to endgame alive. You know, usually I push pretty hard and pretty fast. I took a little bit of I took my time a little bit more this time around. I ran a little bit slower. I played a little bit more safe. And as a result, I was able to close out the end of the first day in the top 50, and I was able to get my first character to endgame without dying. And that's actually a huge benefit in a new league, because it means you get there and you're able to start, you know, alking rings, you're able to start picking up gear and such, to be able to start running that shop thread and start making really good money. And that's kind of what I really wanted to do. That's one of my favorite things in a new league, is being able to get to endgame really early, and then be able to start running that shop and be able to make a ton of money. Because when you're when you're farming City of San, you know, before 99% of the population, or even before like half of the population, you can make a huge amount of money just like picking up that white jewelry and alching it and just, you know, selling those super dodgy rares in the shop thread and just making a heap of money. You'll see here how good my single target damage is. That was an Exile there. No chance. Absolutely no chance. So it's been pretty insane. Like, I was really, really blown away by how strong Incinerate actually is. Like, people always told me it was a pretty strong skill. I never really quite knew the extent of that. But when I went and, you know, tried to do Merveil Merciless, and it took me about 5 seconds to burst down both of her forms, and when I went and did Val, you know, basically killed him while he was spawning ads, I was, you know, I was like, okay, I see what's going on with this skill. And it's a real highlight to, you know, the shotgunning changes that are occurring as well. Because this is the greatest example of shotgunning, I think, in the game, where you know, you get this skill that the actual damage here is 1,000, so that's 1,000 per stream, 1,000 DPS per stream, and then you get 3 stages, so that multiplies that by 300%, I believe, and then you have 5 with GMP, 5 streams, and then when you have you know, a single target in melee sort of range there, they're getting hit by each of those 5 streams, or if you're at range, you know, usually hitting with them at least 3, then you're multiplying it by each of those, and you end up with insane amounts of damage, just putting out crazy damage. So, you know, it's an okay AoE clearing skill. You need to get projectile speed before it starts to really look nice, but when it comes to just destroying and melting bosses, it's so good. So I've had a lot of fun with this character, and it's a really simple character too. There's no gear requirements whatsoever. I'll go over my build a bit in a moment. There's no real gear requirements. You don't need any specific uniques. I mean, there was a time where people, you know, always went with Civil Spore and stuff like that, but these days you can just, you know, you can just use kind of whatever and you'll be fine. Taking a bit of damage here. Let's watch out. I don't want to sit there and eat that Searing Bomb. There we go. Not too bad, not too bad. And yeah, no real requirements. There's a couple things you can get, like, for example, you know, Atsuru's Promised Flask is pretty nice to get later on, which is, you know, a cheap item. Kael'm's Roots is pretty nice boots. They give stun immunity, which I think is pretty nice with Incinerate. I'm using currently the stun avoidance from the tree practical application, which helps a little bit. Oh, Incinerate just leveled up as well. And, you know, but there's nothing really you need. You can just stack the you know, the basic resistance gear. And then I leveled with a +1 Fire Scepter. From about level 20, I actually switched to Incinerate as soon as I got an LMP, which is around level 20. I used a +1 Fire Scepter with added Lightning and LMP, and it just wrecked all the way through until endgame. I only just recently sort of switched to Wands, and the reason why I'll be using Wands in the end is because of the ability to get projectile speed. Projectile speed is what gives you your AoE clear, and it makes it a much safer skill to use as well, because, you know, the drawbacks of Incinerate are that although it's insane damage, and it's insanely easy to scale with very limited gear, you do need to stand still and channel it, and the AoE clear is not quite fast. It's not a super fast clear speed skill. It's not like, you know, your Flame Blast Proliferation where you're able to clear, you know, entire packs really quickly. You have to do, you know, there's still that bit of a ramp up time while you wait for it to charge up and such. So so I wanted to go for Wands. I'm going to dual wield Wands so I can get projectile speed, spell damage, and cast speed. That's basically the main things you want to try and get. In terms of my run-through of the game, I didn't really have any too insane luck. I did manage to find a Joffrey's Crest, though, which was a pretty nice find. So I'm currently using this now. It's difficult to get the colors I'd want ideally on it, but at the moment I'm running Incinerate with Echo and GMP. Getting those as early on as possible makes Incinerate just godly. Like, it's good with just LMP and fast casting, but once you get GMP and Echo, it just becomes absolutely godly. And I'm using Fire Penetration at the moment. Eventually I'd probably want to switch out to like added Chaos instead of Fire Penetration, since I'm going to be using Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice, and the Fire Penetration's effectiveness will be limited a little bit. But for now, in the +1 Joffrey's Crest on a Falling, this works really nicely, and Fire Penetration just gave its like single target, you know, just took that to the next level, which was already quite insane. So, pretty fun. First day. Had a lot of fun. Managed to get a few zone firsts as well. I think I got 3 zone firsts, which was pretty nifty. You know, they're just like side areas and stuff, but that was pretty cool. Like, I haven't done that too much. And then ending out in the top 50 while soloing like the last difficulty myself was pretty cool. Pretty nice feeling. And I've had a lot of fun with the character. So I'll briefly go through the build for you guys. If you want to get a link to my build spreadsheet, you can just click down in the description below. I'll link it down for you guys. Obviously, when the Awakening comes out, this is all going to be out of date. But I thought some of you guys might be curious now, and some of you guys might want to play Incinerate in this league. It's a good starter for both hardcore and softcore in this 1 month hardcore as well. If you're looking for other builds, I recommend things like Tornado Shot, you know, Flame Blast, Fire Trap. Any of those really standard things that don't require too much specific gear are going to be good choices for this 1 month league. you really want to be able to get through without too much gear requirement. So here's the build here. I started off by getting all the stuff in the Templar tree, excellent stuff for leveling, you know, all through the damage, down into Sanctity, Elementalist, Light of Divinity, and the HP here. You can pick up Celestial Punishment and Celestial Judgment as well if you like. They're pretty good cluster to get for this style of build, but definitely not mandatory. I mean, the damage is going to be really insane even without it. From there, I came across and went through Witch into practical application, got the HP here, and went up and got Eldritch Battery. From that point, I believe I came down and got Quick Recovery. Pretty nice life and mana regeneration, which means you can start running Arctic Armor. You can start getting like, you know, little 2, 3, 4, 5 Arctic Armor. Level that up as you go. Level your Clarity as much as you can as you're going, you know, until you know, just make sure you have enough mana unreserved to cast your skills. Level up your Clarity whenever you can, and level up your Arctic Armor whenever you can. To be able to do that, just as a tip for you guys, basically add the standing mana degen with the additional mana degen, and then calculate that against your actual mana regeneration. Now you can degen Arctic Armor while you're moving with a build like this, because when you're actually attacking, you're going to be you know, regenerating, because it's going to be costing a lot less, even with Incinerate being a fairly expensive skill. So, you know, you can degen while you're running a bit, as long as, you know, especially if you're using Lightning Warp, because Lightning Warping around stops the Arctic Armor cost from occurring, so you can regen your mana that way. So you can push Arctic Armor a little bit further if you want to. From there, I came up and got the dual wield cast speed, Dark Arts, best cast speed cluster in the game, pretty much 4, 4, 4, and 8%, insanely good. And I got the HP from over here. From there, I went down and got the life here and went into Shadow, got all this stuff. There's a little bit of projectile speed here, which is pretty nifty. It's a nice cast speed and damage as well. And then from here, I've gone down and I'm getting the Scion Life Wheel. From that point, I'll probably get the spell damage here, and the cast speed in Shadow, and I have the option of getting like Celestial Punishment and that if I desire at that point. So it's a pretty simple tree. It's a fun skill to build around as well, because it's a projectile skill and it's not an AoE, which means you're not shoehorned into specking AoE. And it's also a non-crit skill as well. It has no crit chance. So there's no reason to spec crit for it, so you can scale it just without crit. It's a fun skill to build around, actually. When we constructed this tree the other day on stream, it was really enjoyable to actually build the passive tree. Just, you know, as someone who's built quite a few builds now, I was like, as I was playing this, I was like, yeah, this is cool, this is cool. It was really, really fun to plan around. In terms of links, things for Incinerate, you know, I've listed them all in the spreadsheet if you want to check them out. But try and get that fast casting and LMP. Don't really use Incinerate as your clear speed spell until you get LMP. Up until that point, I recommend doing something like Fire Trap, Lightning Tendrils. I used that for a while, and that was really good as well. And then you can switch to Incinerate once you get LMP. Your boss killing potential will go up, but your AoE will go down if you switch to that. So you can make the decision about when you want to do that exactly. Rest of your skills, you can basically use whatever you want. Just make sure you're leveling up your Clarity and your Arctic Armor as much as you can. And otherwise, you can run Purities, you can run Herald of Thunder, you can run Herald of Ice. You have quite a few options on what sort of things you want to run just there. Now, another tip is to, whenever you see Elrian, while you're leveling in a new league, level him up as quickly as possible, do as many his missions as soon as you can, invite him to your hideout, and then try and do your daily after you get him to level 4, or at least do your daily to get him to level 4, so that you can refresh his vendor, and then potentially get some minus mana cost jewelry. Now, I've already purchased from this day, I'll do it again and see if I can get a better one, but I'm currently using 2 -7 mana cost pieces of jewelry here, so, you know, I got this Topaz Ring and this Agate Amulet. This is insanely good with Incinerate, because Incinerate is not a super high mana cost, but it's a very quick mana cost, so something like minus mana cost to this skill makes it very, very easy to support. So try and get those as soon as possible, and it makes leveling with Incinerate much, much easier. I think we were able to get one of these items around by doing that Elrian strategy as quickly as possible, around the level 30-ish mark, potentially, maybe 30, 40. And then I was able to get the second one a little bit later when the daily refreshed as well. So you can get those lined up and it'll make it a lot easier. Of course, the league has been going for a little bit now, so you can potentially alternatively buy one from someone else. A few of these should be floating around on PoE Trade. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this little vlog. I had a few requests just to go over my experiences from day one. A lot of fun. I highly recommend doing this league. You know, you can win some beta keys, and if you push really hard, you can have an attempt at some of the Demigods items. But the main point of this league, I think, is just to be really fun. When they combine all those leagues together in a couple days' time, or in about a week's time, it's going to be absolute insanity. So it's fun to sort of kit up a character in preparation of that craziness, and then to play during that craziness should be a lot of fun. So this is really just a for fun league, but I'm really enjoying it so far. And maybe this inspires some of you guys to give it a go too. Anyway, if you have any questions about the build or the league so far, or anything else you'd like, feel free to leave them in the comments below. That is it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.